Hey everyone, my name is VJ and welcome to Santube 3D Printing. Today we're going to be reviewing this bad boy right here, the Creality Ender 3. We're going to go over some of the features in detail and what upgrades they've done and how does this printer stand up to the other Creality brand products out there. So let's go and get started.
This is your general public service announcement. Please go and check your voltage before you turn on your printer. Otherwise, it just might blow up in your face. Please check your voltage, guys. Now, as far as this assembly process on the Ender 3, guys, for do-it-yourself kit, it's actually not that bad. It took me roughly around 40 minutes. Everything was very easy to follow as far as instructions and directions that came with it. But if you have somewhat of an experience, you can probably put this together without looking at the manual. So I really did like how quick and easy it was to put this thing together. And then after that, of course, the overall design of it, the way they made it, I actually like how compact it is, so it doesn't take up too much space as well. So it saves you a lot of space, not having the control box on the outside. Everything's integrated onto the printer itself. So I like that feature on here as well. Again, the person that designed this, I think, did a pretty good job. As you can see, the power supply is mounted right behind on the right hand side behind the display. One quick thing, guys, just to let you know, this power supply right here and some other printers, they actually have a fuse right there. So if you ever have any kind of an issue where you feel like it's a power issue, make sure you turn off the power and check the fuse first before you go and open up the inside of the power supply and check any other wiring. Most of the time the fuse will be your problem. Please go ahead and double check your voltage as well. And back to the power supply now. They are running off a 24 volt system now, which is an upgrade, which is great because that helps heat up your bed a lot faster. So compared to like the Creality, I believe it does in roughly about half the time. So that's kind of cool that they did that. It has slick look to it, out of the way. So overall, I think they just upgraded the whole power supply itself, and I think it's actually a benefit, and they're only stepping it up here. So good job, Creality, on that part. Alright, so next let's go ahead and talk about the build surface. You got 220 for the x-axis, 220 for the y-axis, and of course 250 print volume for the z-axis. Now that might not seem like a large surface compared to other 3D printers like the CR10 or the TiVo, but keep in mind, guys, for under or around 200 bucks, that amount of print surface is actually pretty darn good. In my opinion, the build volume you get for the price is actually pretty good. Alright, so down on the left hand side you'll see your USB connection and your micro SD card slot. This is where you would connect your computer or insert the G codes to get printed. Alright, so next let's talk about the obvious upgrade that they did. If you notice the grip handle to feed the filament through, they've actually extended that out, and like you see right there, and not to mention they've actually have grooves inside, so it's easier to hold, so it's non-slip. So I like that feature. And then also another thing I noticed, that when you try to feed the filament through, it's actually a lot tighter, so it's not as loose as the other ones get after a while. So I think they upgraded the spring on it or put a better spring or something, but it just feels more tight. Also right there you'll notice that they upgraded the connection. It's a bronze connection right there, so that's kind of cool. So that stays in place better, so it's bronze on bronze. And please, if you guys haven't printed out a Bowden clip that you see right there, the little black thing, go ahead and do so. That will save you a lot of time and trouble. Now that part right there, what I just pointed to was actually the cable for the hot end that you actually hold together. I'm not too happy with that. I think they could have done a better job because it seems just to slide in there and pops right off. So I appreciate the effort that they did as far as trying to hold the cable together, because that is an issue that we were having on other Creality products. But I think they need to put a little bit more thought and effort into putting that together. Now another very obvious upgrade they did, which is one of my favorites, is the wheel itself. But before we start talking about that, if you take a look at the spring that they used in there on the Ender 3, I'm not really too happy with it. I kind of like the ones they used on the Ender 2 and the Creality CR10. I wish they would have kept those springs, so I'll probably be changing that out. And you can buy these. I'll put a link at the bottom, guys, if you're interested. But again, back to the wheel. I really like what they did with the wheel. You don't have to print them anymore. It comes with the printer, and it's also labeled up and down when you turn left to right. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing that they did. I like how Creality is actually listening to the users of their product and making the necessary upgrades according to that, even though they miss one or two here and there. But I think it's a work in progress, and it just shows that they're actually listening. So that's kind of a cool thing there. Alright, so as you guys have already figured out by now if you've already assembled a printer, for those of you that are looking to purchase it, this is a single lead screw, meaning one Z rod. It does not have one on the other side. It just attaches to one Z motor, and that's basically it. But in this price range, most of the printers will not come with the dual, so this is actually pretty standard by industry standards. Next, let's go and talk about the housing for all the electrical components. This is something also that I was kind of impressed with here. They put everything very nicely organized and tight in that little corner right there, and it has a fan to keep it cool so it never overheats, or it shouldn't overheat anyways. But I think they did a pretty good job on that. It doesn't take up too much space, and unfortunately I didn't put it in this video, but if you notice the cables in the back, those are actually very well organized too. It's not all over the place. And one of those cables, of course, connects to your heated bed. One cool thing I liked about this one as well, they actually did do like a spray texture where your prints are supposed to stick better to the bed. Now I haven't done a print yet, so when I go ahead and do that, which we'll talk about later on down the line, I will tell you how well this works. I wasn't too impressed with the Ender 2. Hopefully the Ender 3 did a better job. And after spraying the texture, they actually did put their logo on it, so it looks pretty cool right there. So we'll talk more about this down the line at the end of the video. So the nozzle itself and the extruder part, or the hot end assembly, I think it's pretty standard for the Creality. I think they're using the same parts, but what I want to talk about here is the Bowden tube itself. It seems to be a little bit smaller, and that's actually an advantage, guys, because the smaller the tube, the less friction you get when you're printing. Maybe eliminating some of those ghosting that you see on the Z-axis. So that's actually a good thing, and I do like how they shortened that up and it's not all over the place. Now, with all that said, these are my dislikes without even starting to do a print or anything like that. This one's just personal. I wish they would have left the logo on the spool holder itself. That would have been kind of cool, but they didn't. But it still looks pretty neat. I just wish they would have left the Ender logo on here, so it would have been a little bit nicer. Another thing I didn't really like is the micro SD slot right there, and this is a problem with I think all Creality products, regardless which one you get. Sometimes when you insert the card, be super careful because it goes in the slot, which can be above it and not the actual slot where the card's supposed to go, so it's kind of a pain to take it all out. Another thing, as cool as the display is here for setup, one thing I really disliked, because you're not supposed to touch electrical components with your fingers because of the oil that our body produces, but they left the back completely empty. I wish they would have had some kind of a housing to cover it. That would have been really cool, but they did not. So I don't know what happened there, but I wish they would have put something there. But I believe there is a panel you can print from Thingiverse, and I'll try to put a link to that at the bottom as well.
Other cool things about this printer that I forgot to mention is actually it's capable of printing faster. So they claim that you can actually print at faster speeds without having any issues, which apparently they're correct, because I have printed a few things and I've done it at a higher speed just to test it out. I've done actually 100, and it came out pretty decent. Not great, but it was pretty decent compared to what you would get maybe around 80 on a regular, let's say the CR10 or something. So that part of it is true, and I did like that feature on there. So if you want to just print something just for display and you don't really care too much about the quality of it, you can actually do that on this printer as well. One thing I was surprised to find out about this, and I haven't mentioned it yet, it has a print resume feature on here. So just in case your power ever goes out or you disconnect the cable or something goes wrong, when the power comes back on, you can actually resume your print from where you left off, which is pretty cool for this type of printer in the price range that it's at. Alright, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. Everybody's been asking me what is the difference and how does the Ender 3 compare to the CR10. I'm not going to get into that because the CR10, it's its own printer while the Ender 3 is its own printer. They're not really in the same category, only reason because of the print volume that you can get from the CR10 that you cannot get in this, and because of that you pay a little bit extra. But I will tell you, I do like the features on here that the CR10 does not have. It heats up the bed twice as fast. I like how the power supply is mounted right onto the printer itself, and the display screen's right there, so there's no external control box. And the last thing, which I already talked about, is the failed print resume feature that surprisingly the Ender has and the CR10 does not. Alright guys, so that was my review on the Creality Ender 3. For the price, I think it's actually a great printer. If you're looking for your very first printer out there and the volume of your print does not matter or the size of your print does not matter, this still gives you decent size and it gives you great print quality, so you can't go wrong with it in my opinion. So if anybody was to ask me if I would recommend this printer, I would say definitely yes. I'll put some links down in the description to where you can pick one of these up. I'll put a couple of different websites on there so you can make up your mind where you want to get it from. Well, I hope you guys found this helpful, and I hope I answered all your questions, comments, and concerns. If you liked the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If not, hey, you know what? It is what it is. Give it a down. If you want to see more new content regarding anything 3D printing, go and subscribe to the channel. I will have a video out once a week. And if you'd like to support my channel, I have some links down below for you as well. And with all that said, guys, like always, good luck and happy printing.